Hello everyone. Good morning, guys. We'll just wait for 30 more seconds for others to dial in. Okay, let's get started, guys. Yes, we did send out onboarding emails to whoever have enrolled in a course, guys. I think 7 or 8 have already made a fee payment, and we did send out an onboarding email. If you guys can open up that onboarding email, there will be one link. There will be one link in that onboarding email, which will give you access to a Google Drive sheet. And in this Google Drive sheet, we maintain a Fusion Cloud instances, guys. We maintain Fusion Cloud instance links in this Google Drive sheet. And whatever instances are working at that point in time, you would have that instance marked in green. And this is an instance that is marked in green at this point in time. And I have tried to log into that instance. I've tried to log into that instance as a HCM implementation user. Now, this is the same Fusion Cloud application that we were discussing yesterday, guys. I gave you a high-level overview of what Oracle Fusion Cloud application is. And today, I will be covering the navigation basics in the first 30 minutes. And after that, we get started with the security. Now, first of all, when you log into Fusion Cloud application, guys, here I logged in as an implementation consultant. Okay, meaning also as a HCM implementation user, I logged in as. And whenever you log into HCM application, this is the home screen that you get to see. This is a home screen that you get to see. Now let me open the navigation notes. Okay. Now, whenever you log into the application, you will be able to see a home page layout. You will be able to see a home page layout. And the default homepage layout that you see in Fusion Cloud. So you see this, you see the springboard here. You see different groups, and within the groups you see individual pages. So this type of a homepage layout is called as a newsfeed homepage layout. Okay, and whenever clients get application from Oracle, they would usually have an Oracle logo in there, Oracle or Vision logo. And application would also be delivered to the client with a specific look and feel, with a certain look and feel. Okay, you would have a default theme like this. You will have a default theme like this, and you would also have a specified look and feel as well. And of course, every client will ask you to make few changes related to the look and feel of the application, guys. They might ask you to change a logo. They might ask you to change the theme. They might ask you to change the color, skin of the application, and so on. And all of it is possible. So when we do the UI customizations topic, guys, when we do the UI customizations topic, I'll be talking more about it. Okay, so in fact, that is the last topic. So when we do UI customizations, I'll talk about how to change the look and feel of the application, how to upload a client logo there, how to change the theme as well. But if you look at the default theme, whenever you log in, right in the middle of the screen, you see a portion here. You see a portion here. And this is what you call as a springboard. That is exactly what you call as a springboard. And within a springboard, you will have groups. You see me, procurement, my client groups. So these are called as groups. And within the groups, you have individual pages. So since I logged in as HCM implementation user, guys, if you go into my client group, this is where you will be able to find most of the HR related work areas. Okay, most of the HR related work areas you will be able to find here. You see pages related to absence, goals, profile, performance, OTL, and so on. Okay, so when you log into an application, you see groups, and within the groups, you see individual pages. You see individual pages within the groups. Now, if I click on my client group, and let's say that I have logged, let's say that I'm a HR of Emerson. Yes, let's go back to the same example that we discussed yesterday, guys. Assume that we are doing this implementation project for Emerson, which is a US-based manufacturing firm. And after the implementation is done, HR of Emerson would log into Fusion Cloud, and they would click on new person, and they'll try to hire a new employee from here. So after a user's login, they go to a respective group and they click on appropriate pages. They click on appropriate pages. Okay, they click on appropriate pages. Now, when they click on appropriate pages, they would be able to see the pages, and they go ahead and fill in the information and complete the task. Fill in the information and complete the task. Okay. Now, what is it? Fill in the information and complete the task. So this is one thing. This is one way to get down to a page. This is one way you can get down to a page. This is one day that you, one way to get down to a page, guys. And say, for example, if I want to access a page, maybe let's say I'm a HR of Emerson, and let's say I need to create a user. To create a user, what do I need to do? To create a user, we need to go to a tools group. So you click on this arrow mark. See how many times I'm clicking on this arrow mark, guys. I had to click on it 6 or 7 times. And then I'll be able to see tools, and I can click on tools. Now I'll be able to see an option to go to security console, or I do have an option to go to schedule process and run a job from there. Okay. So if I'm if I want to run a report, or if I want to say create a user, I need to go to either of these screens, right? So if I want to submit a job to run a report, I'll have to go into schedule process screen and do that. But the point is, how many mouse clicks should I spend to come down to this particular page? Now, after I logged in, what did I do? After I logged in, what did I do? When we log in, this is the first tab that you get to see. To go down to the schedule process screen, I had to click on this arrow mark. I had to click on this arrow mark 3 or 4 times. In fact, 6 times. Then you click on tools. Then you click on tools. And you scroll down and click on schedule process. This is how you go down to a page. 7 or 8 mouse clicks, right? But is there any other easier way to go to a specific pages, guys, rather than using a Springboard alone? Yes, one thing is Springboard will help you to go to individual groups, go to respective pages, open it. Another way to navigate around in Fusion Cloud application is you can click on a navigator. And within a navigator, you will be able to see whatever groups that you see in a Springboard. You see the same groups here, guys. You see the same groups here. And if I scroll down, I can see tools here. And I can click on schedule process. But if you notice this time, I'm not spending any time here. I'm just clicking on the navigator, scroll down, just expand the tools and click on schedule process. I don't need to waste a lot of time to come down to this particular page. So this is another way to navigate around in the application, and we call this as a navigator. So in the navigator also, you will be able to see whatever groups and pages that you see in a Springboard, you will see the same groups and pages within the navigator also. So depending on your comfort level, you can either use a Springboard, to go to the pages, to go to the required pages like this, or you can use a navigator. And another option is a third option that you have to search for a specific action in Fusion Cloud. is you have a search bar at the top, and you can directly search for the page that you want to access here. Say, for example, if I want to go to schedule process screen, I can just come in here. Instead of using a springboard, instead of using a navigator, I can just come here and I can just type in the name. It will show me the navigation option directly. This is a third way. So whichever you feel comfortable with, you can go ahead and use that particular option. And another point is, if there are, remember guys, this search box is not only for searching for actions, like going to schedule process screen or going into security console. It's not only for actions, guys, but you can also search for people here. You can also search for people here. Now, how would that help, guys? So for example, if I'm a HR of Emerson, okay, if I'm a HR of Emerson, and let's say I need to update few employees, I need to do a person management. What does a person means, guys? Person is nothing but an employee. Wherever you see person, think of it as an employee. So I'm a HR of Emerson, and let's say I need to update a specific employee. Okay, maybe I need to give him a promotion or I need to change his location. So in such case, one option is I can go to my client group. I can go to person management screen. I can search for that employee that I need to update. Open up that employee record. And I can click on the task ribbon. I can click on the task ribbon. Or you will be able to see here, the person and the assignment details. And if I want to change something on the employee, I can try to update it and I can do whatever action that I want to perform. Okay. So I can change the location, job, position, and so on. And I can also do a lot of other actions, like maybe I can even apply for a leave on behalf of an employee, just in case he's not in a position to sign in. But do I have to necessarily search for a person in a person management screen, open the employee, and come into this particular screen to do these actions, guys? Yes, this is one way. One obvious way. Go to person management, search for him, open it, and do the actions. Another option is I can search for an employee directly here. You see, this is an employee that we opened. And I can just click on this arrow mark, and we would be able to see all the actions that you have seen on the other page, like changing the location, manager, or putting in a time card, all the things we can do from here directly. So this would save tons of time for HRs, for the end users of a client. This would save quite a bit of time, guys. Because please note, guys, this application, you and me as an implementation consultant will use this application for say a few days, so for maybe few months when the implementation project is going on. And as soon as the implementation is done, we will be rolled off from a project. And it will be the end users of Emerson who will be using the application. Right. So whatever features that you see in the application, application is designed in such a way that it will be very easy for HRs of Emerson to perform the actions that they are supposed to do. Okay. Now, if you are in any specific page, in the application, and if you want to go back to the home page, how do you go back to a home page, guys? You see that there is a home button here. Doesn't matter which page you are in. Okay, so you just click on the home button. It will bring you back into the home page. And if there are certain pages, say for example, we went into schedule process screen earlier, right? We went into schedule process screen earlier from tools. Now this is where you can submit a job. Now, what is a job? What do you submit as an ESS job? Here, we'll talk more about it later on in a course. But just for the sake of understanding, assume that if you have to run a job, you come here and do it. And let's assume that you do this 10 times a day. Okay, all through the day, maybe at least 4 or 5 times you need to go to that screen and submit a job. So if there are some screens like this that you frequently access in the application as an end user, then one obvious option is you can go to that particular page and you can click on favorites here. You can click on favorites here, favorites and recent items, and I can add that specific page to the favorites, and I can put all the favorites in the root directory here, or I can create separate folders and I can put the shortcuts or favorites into different folders as well. So I'll not create any folder. I'll add it directly to the list. I'll say save and close. So that what would happen, guys? From tomorrow, if I have to go down to that page, what do I need to do is, do I need to go to tools and do all this nonsense? Do I need to do all of this, guys? I don't need to do anything. I just log in here and I click on the menu option and I can just click on the favorites and I click on the monitor process. That will take me directly to that page. Okay, so that would help you to quickly go to the page that you want. And the next important thing is, yes, you can note this. Apart from visiting the favorite pages that are marked as favorites, you do have recent items as well. And this is going to show you all the pages that you accessed recently. Very often what happens is, guys, when you might probably start off with one task and in the middle you realize that you forgot to do something else. So you go back to a second page, do the task there, and now you want to go back to the first page that you were working on earlier. So in such case, instead of me searching for the navigation again, I can just go into recent items and I can see that page that I visited earlier and I can directly click on it. So in recent pages, it is the easiest way to go back to the page that you were accessing earlier. If that is bookmarked as a favorite, you can access it from here. But if it is not something marked as a favorite, but you still want to go back to that recent item, this would help. And you have a watch list here, guys. And this watch list is created for finance modules, finance and SCM modules, not HCM modules. You can ignore it. And when you click on the notifications here, guys, you will be able to see, when you click on the notifications, you will be able to see two types of notifications here. For your information kind of a notification, meaning it just tells you that something has happened for your information. And when we do the approvals topic, guys, okay, so after global HR is done, we do the approvals topic. And when we do the approvals topic, we will be logging in as approver. And if there is any request that is pending on your name for approval, maybe somebody had an employee came to you for approval. So all such notifications will be displayed here. You see the transaction details. You will also see two buttons here, approve and reject. And we'll talk more about this notification in that workflow approval session. So please note that when you log into a system, this is where you get to see the notifications. It can be FII notifications or it can be FIA notifications for your information or for your action. And if it is for your action, you will also have approve and reject buttons that you need to hit. Okay. And we do have a phone, an option to call a person, or you also have an option to see the personal details. These two, you can ignore them. And you have a username at the end. And when you click on the username, well, one important point that you need to know here is about this application. One important point you need to know is about this application. You click on the username, click on about this application, and that would tell you the application details. Would give you the application details. Now, if someone asks you which version of a Fusion Cloud application are you learning, remember, guys, Oracle started offering this Fusion Cloud application. Oracle started offering this Fusion Cloud application way back in 2011. So that's when Oracle started offering a Fusion Cloud applications first. Okay, started from 2011, and we are in 2025 at the moment. Okay, now which version of the application are we, which release of the application are we using, guys? So if somebody asks you which version and which release of application you are learning, you see the release here. It is release 13B that we are learning. And this is the latest release of a Fusion Cloud application that we had. This is the latest version of a Fusion Cloud application we had. And release is something that doesn't change frequently, guys. It's been this release for the last few years. But version is something that changes frequently. Okay. And Oracle follows a quarterly upgrade policy for Fusion application, meaning Oracle upgrades a Fusion Cloud application every quarter. And there is a specific naming convention that Oracle follows here, guys. When it names the version, it follows a specific naming convention. Now, you have 4 quarters in a year, guys. Yes or no, you have 4 quarters in a year. January to March, April to June, July to September, October to December. Every year you have these 4 quarters. Now, the version that is released in a specific quarter, say, for example, if a version is released in a July quarter or a third quarter of 2025, what is the naming convention that you see, guys? The first 2 digits that you see, represents a year in which that version is released. And the last letter tells you in which quarter of that year is that version released. So we are in September 2025. And the latest release that we have from Oracle for 2025, third quarter is 25C. And that is exactly what you're seeing in the application here. In other words, we would be using the latest version of Fusion Cloud application to do this particular course. And every quarter Oracle upgrades it. And October, in the next few weeks, Oracle would be upgrading this application. Oracle would be upgrading this application to 25D. Because what would be the version number for a version that gets released next quarter, guys? Year is going to remain same. But since October is going to be a 4th quarter, it would have, instead of having 25C, it would have a version number as 25D. And in January next year, when we get a new version, what would be the version number, guys? It will be 26A. Right? So the first 2 digits indicates a year, and the last character indicates in which quarter was that application released, was that version released. A, first quarter, B, second quarter, C, third quarter, and D, fourth quarter. That's how the versioning works. And every quarter, Oracle upgrades a Fusion Cloud application, and it releases new features into it. Now, when you click on the drop-down, you have application help, guys. And this is a quite handy link, guys. And usually we bookmark it as well. So when you click on applications help, it will take you to Oracle documentation screen. And in the Oracle documentation screen, you will be able to see various offerings. We are interested in HCM. So if you go into HR here, you will be able to see the documentation related to, remember there are 3 ways to look at an application, guys. You can look at an application either as an end user, meaning after, let's say, we implement Fusion HCM Cloud for an end client like Emerson. So after the client goes live with a product, HR of Emerson will be using it, and they would be called as end users. Okay, so the client is what we call as end users. HRs of Emerson who is going to use the system. We who will be doing the required configurations, data uploads, and all that, we are called as implementation consultants. And on a client side, there would also be administrators as well. So this is like a HR specialist so the end users, when I say end users, guys, sorry, my bad. When I say end users here, it is the actual employees or the users of Emerson who is going to use the HR system, not the administrators. Administrators will come into this bucket. And it is the actual employees of Emerson who would be logging into HCM Cloud to apply for a leave or to look at a pay slip or look at the revised compensation or to do a goals management. So those are the actual end users. And administrator means it's a HRs of Emerson who is supposed to do those administration part. Now, if you go into implementation consultant, when do we normally come in here, guys? If you're trying to do some configuration, and if you're trying to set up, say, global HR or absences or time and labor or payroll, Yes, when you do a setups, sometimes you might get stuck with a specific topic or with a specific field, and you don't know what exactly that means. In such case, what do? You come in here. Let's say you're doing absence management setups. You got stuck with a specific thing and you don't know what it means. So you search for absence management and you scroll down. You will be able to see all the configurations that you do for absences here. And when you go to options here, so whenever you create an absence plan, these are all the options that you choose. And if you're not clear on any specific topic, say, for example, you don't know what is vesting period. So what do? You just have to come in here, go to the documentation, select a specific topic, select that particular topic, and you will be able to see the definition of it. So as an implementation consultant, if you're doing some setups and if you don't know what a specific field means, then you can make use of the documentation this way. And the same documentation can be used by end users and administrators also if they don't know how to do a specific transaction. So if an employee doesn't know how to apply for a leave, they can again use the same documentation for it. Okay. And one important section that we see here is administration, guys. And in the administration, you will see a page called setup and maintenance. So when you click on this particular page, setup and maintenance, application will take you to a functional setup manager screen. When you click on setup and maintenance, it will take you to a functional setup manager screen. We call it as FSM, functional setup manager. And as you can make out from the name, this screen is used by functional consultants to manage the setups. When I say manage, so we as a functional consultants come into this particular screen to do as well as manage the setup. So if I'm a HCM implementation consultant, right? What do? I come in here. I will choose the HR offering. So for example, if I want to do a global HR configurations or if I want to do payroll configurations, I'll choose workforce deployment offering here. And I can see all the HR modules here. I can go to a specific module and I can start doing the configurations from here or setups from here. Now, this is one of the most important screens that we use, guys, as a functional consultants. And in fact, we will spend one whole session. In fact, we'll spend one full length session talking about functional setup manager in detail. In session number 6, 6 and 7, we will focus exclusively on FSM screen. I'll talk about what are all the options that are available in FSM screen and how we can use this particular screen to do the configurations. Okay. Now what we do is, these are the basics of navigation that you need to be aware of. And now that we are comfortable with the navigation part, let's get started with the basic stuff. Now, what is the first thing that you would like to do, guys, in HCM? We would like to create users first. We want to get started with our security. Security is the first thing that you need to know. And we want to create a new user in Fusion Cloud. Now, how do you create a new user in Fusion Cloud? So I've logged in as a HCM implementation user, and I go into tools. To create a new user, I need to go into security console. I need to go to security console. So this is a screen. Console is nothing but a screen. So this is a place or a screen from where you can do all the security related stuff. Now I go to security console and I could see that there's an option for me to create a user from here. So let me create a new user. And before I create a new user, let me see if I have any user created with the name as Prasad. Okay, we don't have any user created with Prasad. So I'm going to create a new user account. Now I'm trying to create a user. Okay, let's assume that Prasad has joined Emerson. Let's assume that Prasad is a new employee who joined Emerson as a HR specialist. Okay, let's assume that Prasad is a new employee who has joined Emerson as a HR specialist. So, we were asked to create a user for Prasad. Let's see how to do that. So let's go ahead and create a user for him. So first name, Prasad, and you enter a last name. And the moment you enter a first name and a last name here, you notice that the username is generated automatically as first name dot last name. Where is that control from, guys? Where is that control from? Now, when you create a user, you are choosing a default category here. You're choosing a user category. And the user category that you're going to choose here will determine few things. It will control how a username gets generated, and it will also control the password complexity and so on. And where do you see these user categories, guys? If I try to access the same application URL, I'll just keep the screen open. I'm in another tab here. And from this particular tab, I go to Tools. And I go to Security Console again, because I just want to keep the screen open. And in the Security Console, I went into Users and I started creating user there. But we have another option to go to User Category. So if I go to User Categories, what is the category with which I'm creating a user, guys, here? What is the category that I've chosen here, guys? Please respond.
Default.
I've selected default here. So if I go to default here, you would be able to see username password generation rule. And what does the rule says, guys? First name dot last name. And since it says first name dot last name, you see that the moment I enter Prasad and KOG as the last name, you see the username is generated this way. But what if I change this, guys? I go ahead and edit it, and I change the username generation rule from first name dot last name to, let's say, email. And let's see what happens. I'll cancel the user creation and I'll try to create a user again. And I'll search for Prasad again. I'm trying to create user as Prasad and KOG. And I will also enter an email ID on which I want to receive a welcome email. So I have this email to receive notifications. Okay. So what I did is I've entered an email ID here as oicnotified@gmail.com, and I want to receive a welcome email or all the communication on this particular Gmail account. And the moment you enter an email and you tab out, you notice that the username is replaced with an email. Now, why is username generated as an email now, guys, instead of first name and last name? Because we changed the generation rule. So the point is, whatever rule that you choose here, depending on that, the username gets generated. So your client tells you which rule they want to use. Is it a first name dot last name, or is it an email, or is it any other criteria? If we go back to first name dot last name, okay, you would be able to see prasad.kog, and I'm going to enter my email, and I'm going to skip the phone number. I'm not going to enter it. So on this particular email account, I'm going to receive a notification saying that, hey, Prasad, new user is created for you in this particular application. And there would also be a link to reset the password. I'll show you that email as well in 2 minutes from now. And you see that username is generated as first name dot last name. And we need to enter a password here. Now, how complex a password that you can enter here is again controlled from user category. So if you go to password policy, edit it, now you would be able to see a password complexity here. Now, if the password complexity says simple, if it is simple, is what is selected. What does it mean? It means that I have to enter a password which is at least 8 characters, and one of them has to be digit. Now, for a simple password complexity, tell me one thing, guys. Is this a valid password? Okay. Is this a valid password, guys? Welcome one. If the password complexity is simple, it is okay, right? Because it is 8 characters and there has to be 1 digit, and there is already 1 digit. But if I change it to, say, a complex, it says there has to be one uppercase. And assume that in case of simple, we use small w. And if it is the moment you change it to complex, you should have at least one uppercase like this. And if you change it to, say, a very complex, then you need to have at least one special character, which means you need to definitely add a special character anywhere you want. And if you say welcome at rate 123, this is how you can do it. Now, when you do it this way, what would happen? You see an uppercase, you see a special character, you see a digit, and it's more than 8 characters long. So usually clients use very complex password policy, guys. So which means we force users to set up a complex password like this because it should not be easy to crack. It should not be easy to crack. Okay. Otherwise, you can also have a custom policy, and in the custom, you can mention how many digits you want, how many uppercase, how many lowercase, and so on. But usually, it will be very complex. Is what our clients usually choose. But since it is a demo instance, you have simple, and since it is simple, even this would work. Also, a few more things that you see here is how frequently the password should expire. And we say password should expire after every 3 months. Okay, so what does it mean, guys? It means that, let's say I've set up a password as welcome123 at the moment, and today is 12th of September. Today is 12th September. And when would the password expire, guys? After 12 days. After 3 months is what we said, right? 90 days. September, October, December. So on 12th of December, after 3 months' time, the password would expire. And on a 2nd of December, 10 days before a password expiry, you get a warning. You can ignore the token. And you see another important thing called a disallow last password. Now, what does this mean, guys? If this is checked, what do you think would happen? Disallow last password. Meaning when I reset the password on 12th of December, if I try to use the same password that I have used earlier, if I try to use the last used password, will it work, guys? Will it work or not would be controlled by this. If I say disallow last password is checked, what does that mean, guys? That means user will not be able to use the password that they have used last. So on 12th of December, if I try to reset my password and if I try to use the same password that I've set on 12th of August, it will complain. It will not let me do that. But if this is unchecked, which means we are allowing employees to use the same password for years, they can still use the same last password as well. What is one scenario where you get to see this, guys? In real time, we face this issue very frequently, right? So all of us use internet banking, and frequently the internet banking password also expires, right? So whenever it expires, what does it say? And you try to reset a password, and if you try to use the last used password, it would complain saying that, sorry, you cannot do that. You cannot do that. Okay, you cannot use the last used password. So how do you handle that? How do you handle that? So I mean, this basically controls. Just give me one moment, guys. Okay, so this basically controls whether you can use a last used password or not. And if it cannot, if you cannot reuse it, if you cannot use the last password, then you just tick this box. And usually this will be enabled so that we don't allow users to reuse the same password. And you see an option for a administrator to reset a password. And we usually enable this so that what would happen if some user is not able to get in the users tab, we have an option to reset the password. Okay. Now I'm going to set the password as welcome123. And I'm going to set the same password here. Enter a password and confirm it. And now you need to enter a role here. Now you need to assign a role. Now, Security in Fusion Cloud works on the basis of roles, guys. It works on the basis of roles. Okay, Security in Fusion Cloud works on the basis of roles. It is called as Security in Fusion Cloud works on the basis of roles associated with a user. It is called as a role-based access control. Role-based access control. So when a user logs into the application, so I'm creating a user for Prasad. When Prasad logs into a system, What data does he get to see? What options does he get to see, or what does he get to see in the application will be dependent on the roles assigned to them. So it is a role-based access control that we have. And there are a variety of roles that you can assign to the users, guys. Okay, you have job roles, you have abstract roles, duty roles, data roles, and so on. So please note, guys, we're going to talk about security for the next 3 sessions. Okay, we're just starting off with it, and we'll be talking about it for the next 3 sessions. And as we progress in the course, we will be covering various security roles. Now, what is the first thing that I want to do here? See, Prasad has joined Emerson as an employee. And we want Prasad to be able to see all the basic screens that every employee in HCM application should see. Okay, now what are the basic screens that every employee should get to see, guys? They should be able to see me section, timesheets, pay slips, goals. So these are all the things that an employee should see. So what Oracle did is, it has created an abstract role. So when you search for employee here, you see that Oracle has created an abstract role called employee. Now, one important point is, when you search for any specific role, you will be able to see 2 roles with the same name, but with a different role code. Now, why are you seeing duplicate roles? I'll be talking about this in either Monday session or Tuesday session in detail, because I need at least 15-20 minutes to talk about this concept. But for now, just remember that when you search for any role, you would see duplicates like this with the same name, but different role codes. One role will have Ora underscore in the code, and one doesn't. A thumb rule that you need to remember for now is, whenever you search for a rule, if you see duplicates, you should always pick up a role that starts with Ora underscore, and you can ignore the other one. You should always use the role that starts with Ora underscore. Why are we seeing duplicates? Why should we use Ora underscore? There's a 15-minute story that you need to know, and I'll explain it in either Monday or Tuesday session. And I choose that particular role. And why is this called as an abstract role, guys? Because this role as such doesn't give access of any functionality to the user. It doesn't give access of any functionality to the user like absence, payroll, or so on. Okay, so this role gives access of some basic stuff that every employee should be able to see. So since this role as such is not going to give access to any HR functionality, but access to some basic screens, it's called as abstract roles. And another abstract role that you have is a line manager. So this employee joined Emerson as an employee. So I'm going to choose this particular role and add a role membership. And the moment I do that, I click on save and close. As soon as I hit the save and close, Prasad would receive a communication on this email. He would receive an email immediately, a welcome email. Now let me show you how that email looks like. So we have created a user for Prasad who has joined Emerson today, and we have assigned him employee role. Let's go ahead and hit save and close. Now, the moment you do that, you would be, okay, let me open the email that has been sent out to Prasad. Show the email to you. I'll log into my Gmail account and I'll share my screen back, guys, in 2 minutes time. Well, this is an email that I've mentioned in there, right? This is an email that I've mentioned when I created a user. And Prasad has received this email on his email account. It says Vision Welcome Email, and you see the context as well. You see the content as well. Now, this will be the default subject and the default content with which email will be sent out whenever you create a user in Fusion Cloud. Definitely, every client will ask you to make changes to the subject and the content of the email that we are sending out, guys. Now, the point is, you need to know where is this coming from. Where is this coming from? Where is it coming in from, guys? Any idea? Again, it would also be controlled from a user category. So if you go to notifications here, in the notifications tab, you will be able to see the email templates. You will be able to see the email templates. Now I can edit this. I can edit the notifications. And you see that there is a new account template. So meaning whenever you create a new user in the application, it is this template that is going to be used to send across an email. Now, the subject or whatever subject that you see here, it is with this subject the email has been sent out. And the email body that you're seeing here, it is the same email body that you see here with a link to reset a password. And if we have to change it, most certainly user would ask you to change it. Now, what is it that a client might ask you to put in here? They might want you to say, welcome to Emerson. Instead of vision welcome email, this is what a client would want you to say. Okay, depending on the client name. And you can even change the text as well. So that what would happen? I'm not going to say this because it is a demo instance used by other users as well. I don't want to impact it. But whatever change that you make here, that change will start showing up in the notification that is sent out. And what user would do? So after we create a user for Prasad, we're not going to go to him and say, Prasad, this is a user that I created for you, and this is a password. Will not tell him that. Instead, he would immediately receive an email, and he also has a password reset link. So all he has to do was use that link to reset the password. But we'll not do that. We can even reset the password using this. But since I know the password that we have set for Prasad, from another session, from another browser, I'll try to log into the application as Prasad from here. Okay. Now, what's the password that I've set for Prasad, guys? This is a password that I've set. I enter that password and I sign in. Now, when Prasad signs in here, since we have assigned him only employee role, what is the stuff that he gets to see, guys? He only has got access to few basic screens that every employee should be able to see. He has got access to me section. He can view his payslips. He can add an absence. He can see the existing time cards and so on. If he wants to procure some stationery, he has access to it. And if he has to run some reports and so on, he does have access to that as well. So he has got access to a basic stuff that every employee should have. But what is the role of Prasad, guys? What is the job of Prasad? Prasad has joined Emerson as a HR specialist, meaning all he has to do is he should log into a system. He should be able to hire employees for Emerson. He should be able to terminate employees. He should be able to manage the persons as well. But does he see, is this employee, is Prasad able to see something called as my client groups here, guys, so that he can perform all those HR transactions? Yes or no, please? Does he get to see something called as a my client group, which is a HR related group? And from there, he can perform all the HR actions. Unfortunately, he is not able to see it. Now, Prasad will come back to you and complain saying that, boss, you have created a user for me. I was able to log in, but my job is to hire employees and manage the persons. Unfortunately, I don't see the screens in the application that I can use to do that. So what do you do? So since this user has joined Emerson as a HR specialist, and of course, he's an employee as well. So we added employee role. And since he has joined Emerson as a HR specialist, so I'm going to search for a role. I'm going to search for a specific role called HR specialist here. Now, as usual, you see duplicates. Pick up the one that starts with Aura underscore. And this is second type of a role that you have in Fusion Cloud called as a job role. And we'll talk in detail about a job role in Monday session, guys. But for now, I'm going to add this job role to the user. So since Emerson had Prasad to do the job of a HR specialist, we are assigning him this HR specialist job role. And the job roles that you see in Fusion Cloud, would be very much similar to the job roles that you see in nowcareerdice.com, guys. Okay, so you will see jobs like HR specialist, general accountant, accounts receivable manager, and so on. So to make it look real time, Oracle has created this job roles in line with the real time job roles that we have in the market. So since he has joined Emerson as a HR specialist, or we are adding him that HR specialist job role, we click on save and close. Now we'll ask him to sign out and sign in back again. Okay. Now sometimes the best thing to do was whenever you make any security related changes, when you sign out and sign in, to see the updated changes, you all or use a private window. Otherwise, sometimes the page might get rendered from a cache. So always use a private window. And I'm going to try to log in back into the application as Prasad again. But what are the two roles that are assigned to Prasad now, guys? Employee and HR specialist now, right? Initially, he had only employee. Now we have assigned HR specialist. Now I'm going to log in as Prasad again. Now this time, okay, we're still not seeing the changes here. We're still not seeing the changes here. But you would notice that in a minute or a couple of minutes, when you try to log in, when you try to log into a system, now that you have assigned a HR specialist job role, he would start seeing additional groups here. He will start seeing additional groups here. Okay, let's give it a couple of minutes. Now you see here, so Prasad is able to see one additional group now, one additional group called My Client Groups and Benefits Administration. So these two options groups were not visible earlier when he had only employee role. Now, the moment you assign a HR specialist job role, he started seeing, the moment you assign this job role to the user, he started seeing these additional navigation options. So this is exactly what we mean by, we just started off with it, guys. We're not yet done with the topic. So security in Fusion Cloud is controlled by roles that are assigned to the user. It is a role-based access control that we have. So when a user had only the employee role, he was able to see only few groups and pages within them. The moment I assign a HR specialist job role, he started seeing additional navigation options here. Now, Prasad would be happy to look at My Client Groups and Benefits Administration. Now, he would try to proceed with his job. And what is his job? His job is to go ahead and hire an employee. Now, he goes into My Client Groups, and when he clicks on New Person, he tries to hire an employee. And when he tries to hire an employee, what is it that he should be seeing here, guys? He should see a legal employer. Only then he will be able to hire employees. But is he able to see any legal employer here, guys? Yes or no? Anything you see in the drop down, we don't see it.
No.
So which means Prasad will not be able to hire employees in the system, even though he is able to see the screens. He has got access to the screens, but he's not able to see the data yet. So he says, okay, I'm not able to hire employees. So let me at least update few employees. Maybe I have to terminate a couple of them. I have to promote an employee, change a location. So let me see if I can see the employees in the person management screen. And you might also not see that information here. So you would be furious. Prasad would come back to you and say, boss, is this your first implementation? What's going on? Initially, I was not able to see even the screens, but you did something in the background. And what did we do? We assigned a job role to him. And after you assigned a job role, I was able to see the screens. But I'm not able to see the data. So this is one important point that you need to be aware of, guys. When you assign a job role to the user, that would only give them access to the screens that they're supposed to see in the application. Like it would give them access to hire an employee page, person management screen, and so on. But it will not give them access to our data. Now, how do we grant access of data to the users, guys? That is exactly where a data role comes in. Now, we'll stop here for today. And usually we do a training session on Saturday also, guys. But tomorrow I'm not available. I'm traveling. So next training session will be on Monday, 7 a.m. And we will pick it up from here, guys. We'll pick it up from here. And we're done with the free demo sessions, guys. So if you have already enrolled in a course, well and good, you would have already received an onboarding email from us. But if you have not completed the enrollment process yet, and if you want to finish it off, send us a WhatsApp message on this number. Team will let you know the enrollment process. And as soon as you complete the enrollment, we will give you access to the instance material and the other stuff so that you can get started with it. And spend some time over the weekend and try to complete whatever we have covered in today's session, guys. Do the hands-on so that you stay on track. Okay. Yes, Priya, go on. And one important point, usually we do sessions from Monday to Saturday, but as an exception, we won't be doing a session tomorrow as I'll be traveling. Next session will be Monday, 7 a.m. IST. Okay. Yes, Priya, go on with your question.
Hey Prasad.
Yeah.
So I have a couple of questions here. So we saw that you explained how we are adding creating a user, right? Now my question is, suppose that user is also an employee for which we are maintaining the employee data, right? So how do we connect that
So we'll
user
talk
to
about,
that employee?
yeah, we'll talk about that in detail when we do a hire an employee process. The
Okay.
question that you asked is very valid. How is a user linked to employee? I'll talk about it in this particular step. Okay.
Okay. So my next question is like we created the user, right? Now the user got the link for the login
Correct.
and the email and password, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, because it is a cloud application, not a on-prem
Mm-hmm.
application, so we can use any device using that link,
Mm-hmm.
username and password to log in, right?
Correct.
Now,
Mm-hmm.
for suppose as an
Mm-hmm.
kind of requirement, the client
Mm-hmm.
comes up and say, for security purpose, I do not want anyone to use any device to log in. Rather, that employee should be only be able to use its company provided laptop, and they can log in
We
using
can
single
so
sign-on.
this okay.
Can it be
It is it
implemented?
is it is definitely possible. So alongside you, there will be security folks who will work in the project, like IDCS consultants, is what we call
Okay.
them as. So you can enable a single sign-on. You can also put in restrictions around from which IP ranges the login should be allowed. Everything
Mhm.
can be controlled.
And
Okay.
as in consultant, cloud consultant, what action items or roles
It is
will
completely
be?
out of scope for us,
Okay.
and we know all we have to worry about is how does the security in works within the application, not outside of the application.
Okay. So then we don't need to do anything on that part. If that requirement will
Yes,
happen, then the
it would be
security
done
team will
by,
take it over.
yes,
Okay.
absolutely.
Okay.
Yes, Saujanya.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, Prasad. So you have created the users, right?
Correct.
So what if the user is already existed? So is it throwing any error stating that the user is already available on the system, or
Yeah,
how it
it
will?
will. It will. What it would do is it would throw an error. Or if
Mm-hmm.
you look at the name that gets generated, right? So usually before you create a user, we
Mm-hmm.
normally search for a user here, and if it doesn't exist, then we create a user. Okay. So
Mm-hmm.
if you try to create a user, one easy way for you to understand whether a user already exists or not is when you try to create a user here, you see a username generated,
Mm-hmm.
and you see what is the username generated now.
Um, okay, it is a different name with the
Yeah.
link.
So instead of first name dot last name, you're seeing something in between. So this is a clear indication to you that this user already exists.
Okay, got it. So
Okay.
if we have I mistakenly created this user instead of
That's
giving
okay.
the
You can delete the other one that you
name.
don't need. Yeah, of course. And I'll be walking you through these actions in Monday session.
Oh, sure, fine, thank you. And we are talking about the springboard, right? So where we are seeing all the action items over there. So as we are logging as like HCM implementation purpose, you will do not need the other action items which are related to other things like SCM.
Obviously, yes. And since I'm using a standard user given by Oracle in demo instance, I'm seeing all of them. But in
Okay,
real time, when you log in as a HCM implementation user, you will see only the HR related modules here. Of
okay,
course, you
now,
won't see anything related to sales or general accounting and so on.
oh, cool. So
Yeah.
can I rearrange these tiles? Like, is there any way possible?
You can, you cannot change the groups, but
Mm-hmm.
whatever options that you see, whatever pages that you see within the groups, right, you can control which ones you want to display and which one you want to hide. But
Mm-hmm.
you cannot do the rearrangement. Rearrangement also, I think it should be possible, but not pretty sure because usually clients don't ask for it. But when we do the UI customizations, just ask me about this. We'll give it a try there because you have something called as a page structure in Sandbox,
Mm-hmm.
from where you can add additional pages to the group. And in that place, we see that these pages are arranged in a specific sequence in a group. So if you probably change the sequence there, it should probably alter the sequence in a Springboard here. We can give it a try when we do UI customization session.
Sure, sure, we'll do that. And
Yeah,
when you're deleting the user again, the user will get the notification stating that we have
correct.
removed your user account
Yes,
again.
yes.
Okay,
And if
perfect.
you don't want to send it out, you can change it from the settings also.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, thank you.